Hello everybody, I'm Drawing Chaos and welcome back to Satisfactory, the factory building game where I am creating a giant, I probably shouldn't have jumped. I'm creating a giant, wonderful mega palace! Nailed it. Currently speaking, I have been working on this mega palace ever since update number 5 has went out, and that was like, what, 6 months ago? I have added nuclear power plants to this build, as well as plenty of infrastructure going all across the map, every which way you can think of. And even in preparation for update number 6, I was able to use the Satisfactory calculator to move this whole entire base more north. That being said, there's still plenty to do to get this actually up and running, because currently I don't have much built inside here. We'll just slide down here and make our way over. Whee! Dude, this could be an Assassin's Creed building. So currently, as you can see, the inside of the building is quite hollow, and I don't have much built in here, unfortunately. I was able to make a few things so I can actually get preparations started for our nuclear power plants. And luckily I have all the water hooked up, so I know exactly how I'm going to do this for the nuclear power plants to actually up and run. But today's project is a little bit different because I need to figure out exactly how I can get this power up and running. And that's going to take 3 very important steps to actually get this to work. Step number 1, I actually need power for these nuclear power plants to run. Like my dad always said, you gotta spend power to make power. I mean, I think that's what he would say. I'm sure he would say that. Alright, so here's what it is. I need power to actually get this machine right here, creating the uranium fuel rods, as well as the water I showed you earlier, to run my nuclear power plant. So to actually get this to run, I need power to make it run. So these machines will make my uranium fuel rods. The other problem is I need all of these trains up and running, bringing product in, so it actually can create the uranium fuel rods. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how much power I have if this isn't up and running. So lucky for me, I have the infrastructure going all the way around the world, and I even created a grand central station over here in the Dune Desert that'll create and get everything that I need to go into there. Well, not everything, but at least the majority of it. So once I have this uranium fuel rod being able to be made, it'll actually make me power. But I can't build this just yet because I want all the excess uranium waste to be processed to make plutonium fuel rods, because I can actually sink this. So I can actually make this whole system a clean system if I can get that up and running. Which I actually have 2 different recipes to choose from in terms of my plutonium fuel rods. I can have the basic recipe, or I can have this one in the assembler, which is an alternate recipe that just takes pressure conversion cubes, which might be a little bit more difficult than, say, the basic recipe, which has the worst thing being like heat sinks. Other than that, everything else is pretty straightforward. So I'll probably stick with this one right over here in the manufacturer. But before I worry about any of these other materials or how to make it clean, I am going to need power. And the best way to make power, aside from nuclear stuff, is going to be these lovely oil nodes. If I zoom in... Now the idea is I could take these oil nodes to make fuel that's over here, but this area is going to be temporary with update number 6 anyway, so why waste time taking this area if it's already going to be destroyed? Another area that I could take from is the giant crater over here. Unfortunately, this is where I have my winter wonderland, and I really don't want to mess up my winter wonderland trying to build a fuel station all the way over here, because everything just looks so good, and it's kind of its own little spot. But as you can see, I did build infrastructure going all the way across here because with the oil that's over here, I'm gonna need it. So I thought I'd at least keep that over here. And I might want to visit the Winter Wonderland once in a while. So of course, what's left then the Flaccid Archipelago over here in the, what is this, southwest? Yeah, southwest. And there is 4 perfect oil nodes over here, 2 of them being pure and 2 of them being normal. That will give me 3 perfect 600 lines ready to go. Now I did think to myself that I could actually bring the lines back over here and create something in this area, but then I realized that this area over here it's just not big enough. I need something bigger to actually create a power plant over here. This is not going to do it because I am going to use a different method than I was using before. So after a wee bit of tinkering and design, I came up with something interesting. Take a look at this. So this right here, all I would do is build this like 10 times going forward. And the way it would work is the oil actually comes in here and goes into each one of these refineries all the way down a line. This one right here, the center line, would go all the way to the very end and fill from the back coming into the center. So it kind of like reverse flow all the way in there. And the way that these are set up is these will be set up to 60 per minute, 150% clock speed. That means that I would need 45 crude oil divided by, what do we got, 4 here, so that would be 40 total. So 40 refineries taking in 45 crude oil apiece and making 60. So that means 60 plus 60 would be 120, and those will go into this blender right over here. So as you can see, the blender would be producing 240. That would be 120 heavy oil residue and 240 water. Because it doesn't show you the updated stuff until you actually get it started going, which is kind of annoying. But anyway, as you can see, it's actually perfectly done. And this over here is the water extractor that I would have to have at 200%, so it would have all the water that I need. So we would have the water, heavy oil residue, all into a blender, making 240 fuel per minute. So 240 there and 240 there. That would get us a grand total of 4,800 fuel per minute. So what that equates to is, if you take a look at this fuel generator over here, this takes 12 cubic meters of fuel per minute to run and produces a whopping 150 megawatts of power. So what this comes out to is if we take the 4,800 cubic meters of fuel we're going to be producing and divide that by 12, that is 400 fuel generators. Now you can see why I didn't want to put them over there. And if we times that by the 150 megawatts of power they produce, that is going to get us 60,000 megawatts of power just on fuel gens, just on 3 oil nodes that are going to be over here. So that'd be perfect. I just need to make this 10 times, then figure out where I'm going to put all the fuel generators around here. Luckily, I got plenty of room. So after a while, I was able to actually do this 10 more times, hook everything up with power, and even color code everything so it's really easy to understand, as if it was kind of hard to see where the water was coming from and where the heavy oil residue was coming from. The best part is, if you can see under here, I have all the lines of whatever it was called, the polymer resin, going down the center, inside, and coming out the back over here. So it's pretty easy going all the way down. And as you can see, here's the overflow pipe, so you can see everything get perfectly distributed all the way down. So yeah, the idea behind this was I wanted to make a nice compact building and then actually build a building around it. Because normally what I would do is I'd build a building like I had over there, but this one I thought I'd do something differently. Now the only other thing that I need for this to be complete is 200 of these wonderful fuel generators. So here is my idea for a pattern for this. I figured what I could do on this one was create a tower that is in the same shape as this, probably some stuff around the edges just so it's kind of like not as bland as this, and basically make a tower of power going all the way to the top. I feel like this could actually be a cool way, just have everything flow into it, kind of like a boat into a tower. I think it would be pretty cool. So I'm going to try and see if I can actually make this work and then hook up some pipes to it. The only problem with that is like the amount of pumps that I'm going to need to get to go up, but I think I can figure something around that. Otherwise, let me work on that and see what I come up with. Alright, so, bad news. I got to this point. I built the tower all the way up there, started filling it up and everything, and, yeah, I don't like it. I want to get rid of it. I do not like it at all. I don't know why. So I'm just going to load an old save and see if I can figure out another way to build those fuel generators. Because I do like the stuff that's down here. It's just the fuel generators, not my jam. Let me see if I can figure out a better way. Okay, so I have an option number 2. The idea was to actually build on just like directly on top of this. And then I'll just have the fuel line going straight up and right into there. Of course, I had to turn these fuel things all the way around, and, well, that's going to cause some problems. But yeah, this is another option. There's just one real thing. See, what happens is each one is making 240, and if we divide that by 24, that means there's going to be 10. So that means every line that I have going here is going to have to take care of 10 of them, because I'm going to have to, you know, overcharge each one of them. Otherwise, it's going to be 20. So that's going to be 5 high going on here, and that's going to turn my nice compact little boat thing into a boat tower. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to like that either. I don't know what it is about this project, but it started off, everything was going great. I loved it. It was looking good. And now everything that I build is just kind of pissing me off. So, now I got to figure out what else to do, because I don't like this. If I'm going to build a building, I'm going to build something else. But it looks so cool, and it's a lot of... I've wasted so much time already. But I do have one other option. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, stick with me. So back in the day, I created this. This was my Space Vegas idea. And it was actually creating... what was it creating? Oh, yeah, that's right. Rubber, not polymer resin. It was creating rubber, plastic, and petroleum coke. That's what it was. Petroleum coke so I can make steel. And if we go to the second picture... There we go. Yes, it was a very good and a very awesome build. I did like it. But this was update number 4. This wasn't update number 5. So I'm thinking to myself, what if I built Space Vegas, the actual building again, but this time focus on trying to build a Space Vegas that could hold a power plant? This, I feel like this idea is a winner. Alright, welcome to Space Vegas. You know what? We need to turn some lights on. Ooh. You know what? You can't really appreciate it from this side of the base. Why don't we take the train and really get a good look at this place? Because I might have, just a smidgen, got carried away. Maybe just a little. But ladies and gentlemen, Space Vegas is back. Oh, that right there, that is beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Space Vegas. I started building the front of this and I just got carried away. I couldn't help myself, didn't even bother recording, just went with the flow. And I even found the perfect time of day that just showcases exactly how amazing everything looks. God, it is just gorgeous. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. Why don't we take a look at what's going on? First of all, let's get it back to day. There we go. We are at the daytime, and we don't really need the lights now, but they do look really cool. So I built up these little trees right here, and as you can see, as they get taller, they get wider and more crazy looking. I do kind of like them. Not too bad to build. I can actually show you a tutorial on how to build them if enough people in the comments section ask for it. No problem. But welcome to Space Vegas. One of the things I wanted to play with on this build was how to make pipe walls. And this is really fun and really interesting, and also a huge pain in the butt, but god, they kind of look really cool and I love them. Especially with the main door being right here, it really kind of emphasizes, well, it's more like an evil layer than anything else. And of course I wanted that nice kind of, oh, what do you call it, like hotel kind of feel going onto it. And with all the cuts and depth and everything, I had to put in extra lights just to get half of these things to actually glow up. But let me start off by entering in here, and you can see we have all the wonderful refineries going all the way across, but these refineries are actually clocked to 75 heavy oil residue per minute, which is a 56.25 crude oil. Why? Well, there's actually a specific reason for this. The way that these are hooked up is each one of these pipelines goes underneath the water and to one of the blenders over here. I have all the blenders in a row perfectly, and each blender is making 150 fuel per minute. Which means 4 of these hooked up together make 1 line of fuel, 1 600 line of fuel, and that just gets sent straight up. I should probably put some light on down here. It was very cramped in this area, and I didn't add in too many lights, but I feel like this is the perfect height to have down here. And then, as you can see, I have 1 water extractor per blender going all the way across, and everything just fits really snug and really nicely down here. This is like the perfect area. And the funny thing is, I built this huge little box and then started putting the stuff in here, and everything just fit once I did the math correctly. But overall, oh man, it works really great. So we have this huge section right here, and I'll tell you what this does in a minute, but for right now, basically all the oil comes in, goes up, and then goes straight down. Oop, broke a fuse. But if I want to, I can actually turn this completely off and have the oil going up, and then when it goes up, it actually goes, if I can get around here, to my nice little train station that was over there that I showed you before. So the way this is if I ever want to use this oil for something else, I can use it all the way over my train and take it away, and then turn this place off. And as you can see, I have 3 different floors. Each one of these floors is housing beautiful, beautiful fuel generators. And, oh, this is the best part. So up here, as you can see, I have stuff set up for fuel reserve. So in case anything goes down, I can actually have 1 on each side where I can save it. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. Let me tell you how this works. So over here on the beach, we have 1,800 cubic meters of fuel per minute coming in into 3 lines. Those 3 lines go underneath and into the building. Then they come in, they go to the refineries and get turned into heavy oil residue. We actually have the alternate recipe for heavy oil residue and polymer resin, so we can actually have a decent amount of heavy oil residue and up the amount of crude oil that we're making. So instead of having 56.25 crude oil to heavy oil residue, it goes all the way to more heavy oil residue. Then the heavy oil residue goes into one of these blenders, mixes with water, and doubles. So the 75 heavy oil residue is turned into 100 fuel, thus getting us 4,800 cubic meters of fuel per minute getting shot up there. As for the polymer resin side note, that is actually going to come all the way down here, go up, and get put into these wonderful refineries over here making rubber. Now this is perfect too, because I was able to fit 6 over here and 6 over there, while also fitting in the 2 extra water extractors that I needed to make work with the other ones over there. And I make, how many was it, 50 times 6 times 2, I'm making 12, I am making 600 rubber per minute. Now currently the rubber is just going straight into one of the awesome sinks because I don't need the rubber for anything at the moment. I just need it gone. But in case I need rubber later, this would be a good place to have it. And what I can do is I can always put like a smart splitter on here or something like that. So, you know, take it for something else, and then when it overflows, just have the awesome sink ready to go. But that is the easy stuff. Now comes into the fun part. How did I separate all this wonderful fuel? Well, the way that I have it working is I have it coming in a straight line going straight up. So this first one breaks off, then breaks off again, half, whatever, you know, gets divided between this floor. And this floor is, what is it? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 4. So 32 over here, another 32 over there, 64 per floor. And we have 3 floors, ladies and gentlemen. Which is fun. Then we get to the middle floor, which is kind of a weird one, because I have a Mark 1 pump. See, everything is going up and then it's getting split around, but the one up top, what I did was I had a pipe going all the way on the edge, going here and going up. That's going to do the top floor, and the excess is actually going to come down here. But I did have to put a limiter on here because I only needed 200 cubic meters of fuel per minute coming down here so that I didn't waste too much of it. And then the floor up here is actually similar to the first floor, and as you can see, you know, some of them that are on the edge kind of get the worst end of the deal, but overall it should work out nicely. The main problem is trying to make sure that each one of these stays at 50 as it goes, and then it should, you know, even out. But I bet you're wondering if you can actually do calculations in your head or whatnot. If there's 64 per floor, that shouldn't equal 200, should it? No. So if I have 64 and I times that by 3, that is going to get me 192, which I needed 200 of these if I was going to have them at 24 per minute. But now they're taking 24.28 because normally it's a weird thing when you overclock them this much. But if we take 24.28 and divide that by 4,800, or, ooh, I should probably do that backwards. So 4,800 divided by 24.28 is 197. I'm still missing some, which should let this run properly, but for some reason, it still does not. And I think the main issue is trying to make sure all these pipes actually get full up and stay full before any of this actually gets good. I kind of messed with some of the oil, testing out this little section in the middle to go to the trains, so I kind of screwed it all up. But, I mean, it should fill up eventually, right? I think so. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, and then I bet you're wondering what all of this is up here. Well, you see, what I did was I took this area over here and I put in a pipe and a pump going all the way up top. And what that did is it filled up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 large industrial fluid buffers. So each one of these are filled with a buttload of fuel. So let's say I want to use this later and I don't have any power, I run out of power or something like that. What I can do is I can just go to this valve, turn the valve on, and let the excess fuel just drain into the system. And it should work out perfectly. But for right now, it's just up there ready to go, because with the pump that's on that side, that'll make sure that the fuel doesn't go that way, and with the valve on this side, it'll make sure it doesn't go this way. I just needed to make sure that I could get up here if the power was out. So, of course, I put a nice little ladder going all the way over here, so I can get off the train or come on over, whatever I need to do, and whatnot. And then here's the best part. I can take this and I can fully disconnect it. This is connected to the train station. So now, if we look at the train station, there is no power. So this train station is connected to the whole train station, whatnot. But this over here, everything over here, is still running properly because it is still attached to all the power. Then if I want to, I can just turn it back on, and like, let's say I want to turn off the light, so I want to save myself some power, I can just shut this thing off right here. And the lights are connected to the main switch, but the main switch is also not connected to the lights. So the way that I was building this, I had to have a bunch of different things in mind when building it. I wanted a place that I could shut off from my main grid if I ever needed to. That's what the main thing is for. I also wanted a way that if I needed the oil over here, but I didn't need this running, and that's what those valves were for over there. So if I shut the valves off on the bottom, I can actually get the oil to pump over here and still have all the stuff attached to, no problem. And then, of course, if I ever have to disconnect it, I can just run the valves on the top to let the fuel go down, and this will turn this back on whenever I need this to start pumping. Otherwise, it's its own perfect little system. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it from me today. On the next episode, I am going to tackle that waterfall plant over there because I have a grand idea of what to do for it. And I need some rubbers, so that's why I have that going. But let me see in the comment section if you can guess what I'm going to do with that section over there. Other than that, everybody, you have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good one. Bye, buddy.